supposed to be grown-ups, confirm things and look into things.
Funny enough, I do know, I'm from Ottawa originally, right? So like a lot of people I know, well, obviously I know a lot of people in the area, but I know at least 2 people, maybe 3. I don't know if one still does, but I have known 3 people that work for CSIS 2 actively that I know of. And like, it's like they're
right on.
Not that I don't know them, like it's through a degree of separation, right? So
Okay.
like I know, like, you know, through one of my friends, I know somebody that works there.
White power.
This is Grant Bristow. He's standing in front of Dachau concentration camp. He is a self-avowed anti-racist, so if I told you he was there with Canada's top neo-Nazis, would that shock you? The group would begin loudly and passionately denying the Holocaust and were eventually harassed out of the camp. How Grant ended up in this situation is a long and complicated tale that is affecting life even today. Some think this social chameleon somehow engineered the rise of the alt-right white power movement in the 1990s, under the guise of outing members to destroy neo-Nazism in Canada. Instead of destroying it, he paradoxically fostered it, using taxpayer dollars to bankroll the scheme. There are some others that think that his work was effective in putting names of dangerous offenders in the hands of people who could put them away. Let's dive into the Bristow affair.
This was, there was a thing that happened in the 90s in Canada called Heritage Front. And Heritage Front was basically like a neo-Nazi organization that was founded by CSIS, our Canadian Security Intelligence Service, like our CIA or NSA kind of domestic intelligence. MI5 is probably a closer comparison. And they founded it, recruited a bunch of people, and then counseled them to commit violent, offenses, fire bombings, assaults, and things like this. And it was the government that did that. So I'm aware that this is a thing that's out there. Like and for other reasons, things you've seen in the United States, like this isn't a new tactic. The FBI has done some honeypotting, Fed entrapment and stuff like that. So these guys appear on the internet right at we're really starting to peak, and election cycle's coming up. This is pre-convoy. Everybody's angry and upset. And, anti-hate has started to begun to lean into this this militia narrative, because we trolled them with a photo and we made some comments intentionally trying to make them look silly. And right around that time, the media started picking it up, and I'm like, oh, they're going for it. And then all of a sudden, these guys in mass in the woods with guns and the whole thing. Curiously, only rifles that are still non-restricted and available in Canada at the time, which tells me that they were, legally acquired.
But it's the circle jerk, this vicious circle, one person feeding fake information to another, who then finances those people to provide the fake information so they can then launder it off to whomever they need to in order to justify whatever fabricated crisis they financed that never existed in the first place.
Yeah, expect them to reach out to you.
Funny enough, I do know, I'm from Ottawa originally, right? So like a lot of people I know, well, obviously I know a lot of people in the area, but I know at least 2 people, maybe 3. I don't know if one still does, but I have known 3 people that work for CSIS 2 actively that I know of. And like, it's like they're
right on.
Not that I don't know them, like it's through a degree of separation, right? So like I know, like, through one of my friends, I know somebody that works there. So like sometimes I wonder, I was like, do they know? Like, are they the one? Just like curious. Is this person that knows me, like, charged with watching me, just like, Alex, what the fuck you doing?
Like, right. I imagine there's a few people. It's wow. Like we're not just saying it anymore. You know what what I mean? Like, you know, you say, oh, hi feds, whatever, or hi alphabet agencies. I could actually say their name if I wanted to. And I don't believe that that's their real names. Like, that's probably a stage name. Or what would they call it? A pseudonym or something.
Alias or...
Yeah, it's fucking a stage name.
They're actors.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's true, right? Like we've been joking about that for a while, and like I used to joke, like, you know, whoever my agent is, I hope I make them laugh. Like I hope they're enjoying the time they get to spend with me, and I hope that some small part of them knows that I'm not a bad person, and that they're kind of coming around and like, you know, they're like, yeah, okay, I like these guys. These are the I want some small part of you is like, yeah, these guys are awesome.
They're not stupid people. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot say that about them. They're not inept or...
No.
Like I said, they were the most engaged people I've ever talked to before.
They're definitely not stupid because they would be passing some high level, like, and like a wide variety of IQ tests to get where they are. You don't get to...
I would hope so.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You don't get to those positions without like, you know, certain standards for IQ. Like even so the military, right? If you join the military, you take the Canadian Forces Aptitude Test, right? The CFAT. It's an IQ test. They don't call it an IQ test because they're legally not allowed to call it an IQ test because that would be hate, right? But it's
discrimination.
An IQ test. If you've done an IQ test and you've done the CFAT, you know that the CFAT is an IQ test. It is. And the reason they do that is because they have certain standards, right? You need to reach these. If you don't get these scores in these categories, you're not qualified, or you don't have the basic necessities that you need to do this trade in the military. And intelligence in the military has one of the highest standards. So I would imagine that CSIS standards are like a notch up from that. And like, you know, they're not stupid people. Like, don't assume that they are. They might be drones. They might be NPC types that just, you know, well, like you can be smart and like an automaton, right? So like,
it's putting puzzles together, but I mean that's kind of their job, right? But again, like I said, I have nothing bad to say about them, to be honest. Like I walked away feeling like it was a net positive, like it was a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, the other thing is too, like I'm sure that unlike say the RCMP, I'm sure that CSIS is actually some very high quality people, because there's the IQ aspect of it too, but there's also the character evaluation, right? The previous history. Like they're probably model citizens, I would assume, anyways. Like in all levels.
Probably good credit scores. Like
you have to pass. You have to go through multiple lie detector tests where you have to answer like, have you used drugs? Like, what drugs have you used? How many times? Like, and you have to pass these multiple times. So it's like they're not degenerates. They're not like, you know what I mean? They get asked about.
My biggest task was to show a young, innocent face to the media. I wrote articles for the magazine and recorded messages for the official hotline. I was trained to recruit others, to flirt with new recruits, and chat up seniors who might donate money. Within weeks, I became the Heritage Front's only female spokesperson and the softer, feminine face of the group. In December 1991, I made my first speech at a Heritage Front rally. I was still 16 years old. By the next year, I represented Canada's far right on the Montel Williams show, sitting next to John Metzger of White Aryan Resistance. Wolfgang signed my parental consent form.
And another thing you should always keep in mind, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can affect your judgment if you don't let them. And sticking together as relatives is the only way to clean our country of this violent element. And if any speech, let them know that
the Heritage Front became my new family. The more I loved them, the more I hated anybody who wasn't like us. And the more I hated, the more my racist family loved me. By 1992, people were stockpiling weapons and getting ready for a race war, and I was taught to fire guns. That year, the Heritage Front started attacking the community. A group home for young girls was firebombed twice, and a black staff member was sexually assaulted. The Morgenthaler abortion clinic was firebombed, and the Heritage Front's telephone number spray painted on the wall. After a hate rock concert, one Tamil man was beaten and paralyzed, and a Heritage Front skinhead was convicted for his assault. 2 other South Asian men were beaten to death that summer, but their killer was never caught. The Native Canadian Centre on Spadina Road, several synagogues, and a leftist bookstore were all spray painted. A Jewish activist's home in Kitchener, Ontario was firebombed twice. That winter, our intelligence chief, Grant Bristow, launched the IT campaign, a harassment and psychological terror campaign targeting anti-racist activists. He gave skinheads the addresses and phone numbers of the specific people he wanted us to terrorize. One night, he passed me a piece of paper with the details of a woman named Ruth. He wanted me to go on sex hotlines and pretend I was her, to say that her sexual fantasy was to be raped by black men and beaten with chains, and give her address so men could go to her house. I didn't do it, but I asked him why he hated Ruth so much. He just laughed and said she's a lesbian and a leader in a group called Anti-Racist Action, and that was enough to destroy her life. He told me he was trying to get her fired and evicted so she would have a mental breakdown, and he wanted to pound her head in with a sledgehammer. Grant seemed particularly obsessed with tormenting women, so I asked him, why are we targeting women more? And he just said, women are more emotional. They're the first to break. And that's when something clicked in my head, and I started to identify with the other side, with the victims of the Heritage Front. In January 1993, Wolfgang gave me a stack of flyers Grant had created, which compared a black man with a gorilla and listed the name and address of a female member of Anti-Racist Action. I felt sorry for her and worried that she might be attacked. At that time, I was taking a night course at a local high school where 2 ARA members were in my class, so I decided to give them a copy of the flyer.
Do you know if the Canada Anti-Hate Network's views about you have been relied upon by law enforcement or other senior officials in the federal government?
Yes, I have. Necessities that you need to do this trade in the military, and intelligence has in the military has one of the highest standards. So I would imagine that CSIS standards are like a notch up from that, and like, you know, they're not stupid people. Like, don't assume that they are. They might be drones. They might be NPC types that just, you know, well, like you can be smart and like an automaton, right? So like,
right, not it's putting puzzles together, but I mean that's kind of their job, right? Yeah, but again, like I said, I have nothing bad to say about them, to be honest. Like, it was I walked away feeling like it was a net positive, like it was a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, the other thing is too, like I'm sure that unlike say the RCMP, I'm sure that CSIS is actually some very high quality people, because there's the IQ aspect of it too, but there's also the character evaluation, right? The previous history, like they're probably model citizens, I would assume, anyways. Like in all levels,
probably good credit scores. Like
you have to pass. You have to go through multiple lie detector tests where you have to answer like, have you used drugs? Like, what drugs have you used? How many times? Like, and you have to pass these multiple times. So it's like they're not degenerates. They're not like, you know what I mean? They get asked about if they have scandals in their past and like all these things. So it's like they have to be like pretty upstanding people to get to that level where they qualify to even, you know, enter training.
So I guess, you know, in a character assessment of theirs, so they've probably never done drugs, never tried hallucinogenics,
I would assume not.
Right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Especially
that's where I'm trying them in my teenage years and fucking up my brain. You know what I mean? Like that's a different life experience, right? Like
if they've been in for a while too, especially. So like if they've like you said, they're about your age. So like if let's say they've been in for at least 10 years, right? They could have been in law enforcement before or whatever. But let's say that they've been with CSIS for 10 years. Well, they wouldn't have been able to ever have, well, not ever, but they would have had to you know, disclose if they've ever done marijuana, right? Before that. And that would have been a thing that would detract from their, you know, whether or not they were qualified, because it was illegal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And now that it is legal, it would still probably be a question, right? Because
you have to assume that when they entered, the standards were much higher, even than they like. Not that they're not high now, I'm sure they are, but like it would have been probably even higher, right? So
they would be the type that would try and analyze somebody that does drugs as opposed to just trying it themselves.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like there's different types of people out there that experience things and like watch things and like, yeah, I don't know, just trying to get a beat on their personality types. You know what I mean? Or what type of personality type it would take to be that person.
Yeah. So it's funny too, because it's not necessarily to say that if they've ever done drugs at all once in their lifetime, they're out. They can't be. But I think it's like,
what if I told you the organization and the individuals responsible for pushing this are being exposed right now in Canada?
It all circles back to one group, and that's the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
That is pretty fair to say.
Liberal-funded Antifa propaganda. That's what the government of Canada was making their decisions on.
You were supposed to be grown-ups, confirm things and look into things.
Evan Balgord, Executive Director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
Bernie Farber, Chair of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
He's a non-partisan, non-profit.
We wear our biases on our sleeves. We are very proudly anti-fascist, and we focus on the far right.
Last summer, we had a 100-year-old church burned to the ground.
Canada's leaders aren't condemning the burning of churches. No, they're endorsing the burning of churches.
I understand that it's not your organization's mandate to talk about these things. As you've said, you're clearly focused on the far right.
COVID conspiracy theories.
Safe and effective.
They kill. They kill.
This so-called convoy actually seeded the ground for the worst display of Nazi and racist propaganda that I have ever seen in this country. Bullies, racists, bigots, and Nazis.
We now have over 300 active hate groups in Canada.
There's other groups that we're very concerned about.
Jeremy MacKenzie, the de facto leader of the Diagolon movement, a neo-Nazi organization.
Accelerationists who want to violently overthrow the system.
No fighting, no spitting, no throwing anything, don't even litter.
Who are now also encouraging their members to join.
If there's a speed limit on walking, walk slower than that.
One of the key figures of that, Jeremy MacKenzie, his slogan is gun or rope.
If they say it's now illegal to look at the sky, then look at the ground. Be good, for the love of God.
Do you know if the Canada Anti-Hate Network's views about you have been relied upon by law enforcement or other senior officials in the federal government?
Yes, I have.
Diagolon.
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 Diagolon. Diagolon. A far-right extremist group.
We're talking about a group that is organized, driven by an extreme ideology.
A so-called accelerationist group.
Formed by a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces.
Which aims to accelerate racial conflict to lead to the eventual creation of a white ethno-state.
Its stated purpose is, quote, to incite a race war.
The meeting to justify a state of emergency.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
There's some people that just want their lives back. And they enact the War Measures Act, the Emergency Measures Act, to justify a violent and brutal crackdown on old people and women and wounded veterans. You beat wounded veterans in the streets, you scum!
What if I told you the organization and the individuals responsible for pushing this are being exposed right now in Canada?
It all circles back to one group, and that's the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
That is pretty fair to say.
Liberal-funded Antifa propaganda. That's what the government of Canada was making their decisions on.
You were supposed to be grown-ups, confirm things and look into things.
The RCMP recognized that Diagolon was not a criminal group, it was not a terrorist entity, and they had trouble even defining it as a group at all. This whole narrative, they knew it was bunk.
The justification of the Emergencies Act during the trucker convoy came from lies from anonymous Twitter trolls from anti-hate.
Uncovered in HateGate is a string of emails from government officials.
Politician goes on TV and says that, oh, there's this terrorist group involved in the convoy. Then people say, can you back up your statement? And he says, talk to law enforcement. And then law enforcement is like, oh crap, we gotta find something. So they just spend 15 minutes, Google Diagolon, and come up with this hit piece.
That Global News article conveniently sources one expert. That expert is from the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
But it's the circle jerk, this vicious circle, one person feeding fake information to another who then finances those people to provide the fake information so they can then launder it off to whomever they need to in order to justify whatever fabricated crisis they financed that never existed in the first place.
I consider it the single most embarrassing and grotesque intelligence failure in national history.
Okay, the HateGate affair, unmasking Canada's hate industry, right? It goes back to the trucker convoy, as I said, goes back to antihate.ca. This goes back to how they used you guys, Diagolon, and you specifically, Jeremy, as well, but most of you guys in Diagolon, to basically invoke the Emergencies Act. It's a huge scandal. It's an embarrassment, and I know it's been called a failure, like an intelligence failure, but obviously it's not that, right? I mean, this is like willful ignorance and intentional ignorance in order to use something to be able to evoke the Emergencies Act in order to change the direction of the country, essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, I called it that when they forced me to testify from prison, and I said, yeah, it's the biggest intelligence failure in national history, like for our country, because in some elements of it, it appears like it was nefariously, intentionally pushed, even though they knew it, was nonsense. And on the other hand, you had some cops and some people in the RCMP, our federal police, so like the FBI, really in the States, saying, there's no threat here. There's no criminality. There's no threat of terrorism. Like there's no reason for this. But the politicians went with it anyway. And somebody somewhere, floated this and said, like, it's their job. It's the job of the intelligence community to get it right and tell these people what's happening and what's going on. So, and since this has come out, they've done it. No one has come on TV and said, we put their hand up and go, this wasn't us. We told them this is not correct. And now we've suspended civil liberties. The Charter of Canadian Rights and Freedoms is off the table. We've got martial law. It was only for a few days, but I mean, it should never have happened at all. Bank accounts are being seized. People are thrown in prison, and it was all a lie.
Yeah.
And where was the intelligence agency? Their job is to protect Canadians. Well, Canadians are being harmed by their own government. And where were you? You failed. You failed in your job.
Yeah, and they intentionally did it. That's what I think anyway. They intentionally,
yes.
Because they're part of it, right? Needed this setup in order to push the country in this direction. They needed a scapegoat. If they didn't have one, they would have created one.
Because I looked into this at one point. At one point, I was looking at getting into like becoming an intelligence officer in the military, and then I was looking at CSIS because it's something that just interested me, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized
when you grow up believing in the system and everything else, seems like an interesting job,
So like I looked at it, and it's like, well, you can have done marijuana, but you can't have done it in the last 2 years or whatever it is, right? And it's like. And you have to explain how many times you've done it and what the circumstances were and why you, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a whole spiel on it. And it's fun.
Speaking about reporting things to authorities, have you ever reported extremist behavior to authorities?
Yes.
Can you please tell us about that?
One example, let's see, would have been fall, I think, of 2021. There was a group online identifying themselves as Lynx something. It was armed men in the woods with masks. One of them specifically said, this is a call to arms, which, as I understand, is an illegal thing to do. It was very clear that they intended to, were promoting the idea of arming people, arming citizens. I think it was an acronym for Liberate Your Neighborhood or something like that. And to engage the forces of the state in violent confrontation. They were commenting on my videos and inferring that they were trying to connect with me and so on. I found this very alarming, and again, putting potentially myself at risk, but other people that follow me and it could be exposed to this and ensnared in whatever was going on there. So I once I became aware of the video, I immediately called the mounted police about it.
And did you receive a response?
I did. They called me back. They asked me, what I knew about it. If anything, I said, all I know is what I've seen on the internet. I'm simply bringing it to your attention because if I were you, this is something that would concern me. And that was pretty much the end of that interaction. I'm not sure whatever took place after that, but
you didn't have follow-up after that?
I don't think so. I think there was one constable from Saskatchewan that may have called me to say they may have more questions in the future, but that was the end of that interaction.
Were you willing to have a continuous relationship with law enforcement to assist them in identifying legitimate threats to public safety?
Of course, if there was anything for me to give them or assist them in any way, I would have, yes.
So that's interesting. But the part that I think is interesting and of note is right here where it says before they did the charge, they completed a CSIS deconfliction for Zog. A response was received with no issues. Well, what's deconfliction? I looked it up. Deconfliction is essentially a term used by police forces. It was coined in 1979, and it deals with agencies having overlap over one another. So they basically, what this means is that the RCMP are aware that within the Patriot movement, there are individuals that may be working for CSIS to try and manipulate the public into thinking specific ways, or who knows what for, maybe to gather information on the viewers. But the point is, they felt that they had to conduct a deconfliction. So buyer beware on the content, the Canadian content that you take in online. Because I
think in my younger years, like if I because I had a relative that was like an undercover, that's what he did for like his entire career, and he's very good at it. He did some dangerous shit, and there's some books that were written about some of the things he was involved in. I heard a lot of stories. It's just like, Jesus. And I always used to think, I think I could do that. I'd be great at that. But you know what? I don't know. I'm too. You have to be morally inflexible. You have to be pure, like super cop, where it's like you gotta be good at lying to people's faces and being a different person and totally convict. Like method acting or something. And they had to like change their hair and tattoos and everything. They totally looked like a different person and were gone for years. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, okay, why do you look like a biker now? Or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I would have liked it.
And I called the RCMP and I said, hey, you seeing this?
You say, hey, you know what? These knuckleheads, I don't even know whether or not they were violent, but I reported them after you were under investigation. So be it resolved, because this is a debate, be resolved that you're a federal informant and you informed specifically to get the RCMP to stop investigating you and investigate them. That's what I think of you, bro. Not to mention, you don't raise your own kids.
So this is your
send your. Hold on, let me continue. Let me continue over here.
This is a bad look.
I got 5 minutes, right? I got 5 minutes or no? You fucking don't even work jobs, bro. You grift off the internet. That's your job. The shit you put on Telegram all day long, that's your job. That's your fucking job, dude. You ask for donations. You don't like Jews, but you'll send your women to beg them. Motherfucker. I'm a fucking Pakian. I don't beg Jews for fucking money. Holy shit.
Is this guy for real?
This is great. He's on his case. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
dude.
Debate, bro. How come everyone in Diagolon has a PayPal link in their bio? You guys are like beggars.
You're fucking beggars, dude.
Who does?
You're fucking beggars, bro.
Never seen any of those.
I love how you sent your girl, bro. She looks like a Hmong, and you sent her.
Name one.
To fucking Viva Fry to beg, dude, for money. Holy shit.
You usually have a PayPal scroll on your live streams, Runs.
No, I don't.
No.
I never have.
Whatever, man.
On your live streams, Runs.
No, I don't.
No.
I never have.
Whatever, man.
Jeopardy.
Donate to me.
Here.
Donate to me, bro. Donate to me because I don't want to get a job.
Filibuster. You don't want to hear me respond to this, do you?
Where?
What is it? We got Shapiro Light over here?
You're gonna
Where?
get your time.
Show me one.
And no, but the moment's being lost, and they're going to bail, Derek. I know what's
Well, I
happening.
know they're gonna bail.
I care about them. I don't want to throw them under the bus. I literally just don't want to help anyone in the police or CSIS anymore at all because it's just, you guys are fucking, you need to learn the hard way. There's like groups of guys that exist that are like, they might be terrorists. They could, something bad could easily happen. And nobody's paying any attention to them because anti-hate's not talking about them because they don't know. Oh yeah, I got it.
Bring it! Fuck off! Bring it! Fuck off!
Not for this guy! Not for you! No, you don't deserve it!
Fuck off!
You should leave.
Go! What do you want?
Hey! It's not. It's okay. It's okay. Get! We are! Just, we're here for peace!
We're just walking.
We're here for peace! Get out!
Do you feel good about that?
It's happened before with me.
Yeah,
I've had CSIS come and ask me, printed out fucking questions like, what do you think this is? Something about gun or rope or something like that, and he was hinting towards something, and they asked me about it. I don't fucking know what he
even
means.
that, like, that's not necessarily that bad, depending on the context. Like, just read it before you hit the send button and be like, is this something that would look really, really, really fucking bad in a courtroom? Yes, maybe I shouldn't hit send.
Yeah, so I'm a Fed because I worked for the federal government in the capacity of fighting wars, fighting and dying in armed conflict on behalf of the Canadian people I signed up to do, and I followed through with that and deployed into a war zone on their behalf. I buried a lot of my friends. I watched men die in front of me, children. I watched people burn alive. I watched a child burn alive. These are things that I had to go. I heard multiple times underage boys being raped, passed around by a gang of men. Well, I'm supposed to ignore this while watching the landscape for enemy threats so I don't get fucking knifed in my sleep. And so the other guys don't get killed in their sleep and so on. So that's what I did.
Guys, yeah, you dropped
We're discussing it.
Sorry about that.
Good times. Good times. There we go.
Throwing them to the wolves.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, out meeting some interesting characters in the security world.
Shit.
Can't really say more than that.
Sorry, I don't know how you just came back into the conversation. I didn't hear that.
No, I'm just driving back home. I just drove out. Drove out to meet some people from some interesting.
Oh, good. Yeah, hey, meeting. That's what we've been advocating for, is going to meet your neighbors, right?
Yeah, well,
regardless of what these neighbors' occupation are, you're going to meet them. So that's a good thing. Get to know the people in your community.
They came all the way out from Ottawa, so I had to at least make the drive.
Holy.
Yeah.
All the way out from Ottawa.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Okay, if that's not a leading fucking sentence, I don't like. Am I supposed to ask questions? Like, is everybody supposed to be left on edge? Am I supposed to sit on the edge of my sheet and be like, "Woo, from Ottawa"? Wait a second. Like, where am I supposed to? Like, I don't know what to say now.
More cool people, man. I see them all the time. It's fucking awesome, and it's just a cool community. You never know. You'd be surprised. I will say this. You would be fucking surprised who watches these streams. And who's on our team, you know what I mean? You'd be fucking...
Yeah, I've got an idea of who's out there and who's Every once in a while, there's a name that gets dropped, and you're just like, oh fuck, really?
Yeah.
But Phil needs to get hooked up with the Telegram.
What is Diagolon? Is it a real group? Is it dangerous? You see, the RCMP had a problem, and the name of that problem was Jeremy MacKenzie. See, the RCMP kind of has a history of doing corrupt things and then getting called out on. Remember the Nova Scotia shooting? It was the largest mass shooting in Canadian history, and the RCMP's response was subpar. Instead of sending out an emergency response to everyone's cell phone, the RCMP sent out a tweet. It took them over 12 hours to catch the shooter, and the shooter had an exact replica of an RCMP cruiser, apparently, that he apparently made himself. There's also another side story where the RCMP were shooting at the wrong person miles away. Enter Jeremy MacKenzie. He's from Nova Scotia. A couple days after the shooting, he made a video humiliating the RCMP for these exact reasons. Jeremy's video went viral and quickly got taken down off the internet. And what we have now found out since a Freedom of Information request, after making this video, Jeremy was put on a person of interest list. And this is when things started to get very weird for Jeremy MacKenzie. Jeremy here has a very respectable record in the Canadian Armed Forces, leaving as a master corporal and also being a combat veteran in Afghanistan. And since leaving the military, he's been getting very good at this thing called podcasting. And as Jeremy's audience grew, well, it was during lockdowns when a lot of people were quite angry or upset or very critical of the Canadian government, having to put this on your face, having to put this in your arm. And of course, this all culminated with the Trucker Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. And the people in Ottawa said, you know what? We need a scapegoat. We need to vilify, we need a boogeyman to say is the source of all these problems to try and discredit this entire organic movement of people who don't want to have to take something in their arm to go to a Tim Hortons. So what did the Canadian government do? They blamed it on Jeremy MacKenzie's community called Diagolon.
Wow, like you know, we're not just saying it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you say, oh, hi feds, whatever, or hi alphabet agencies. I could actually say their name if I wanted to, and I don't believe that that's their real names. Like, that's probably a stage name, or what would they call it? A pseudonym or something. Yeah, it's fucking a stage name.
They're actors.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's true, right? Like we've been joking about that for a while, and like I used to joke, like, you know, whoever my agent is, I hope I make them laugh. Like I hope they're enjoying the time they get to spend with me, and I hope that some small part of them knows that I'm not a bad person. And that they're kind of coming around and, like, you know, they're like, yeah, okay, I like these guys. These are the, I want some small part of you is like, yeah, these guys are awesome.
They're not stupid people. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot say that about them. They're not inept or.
No.
Like I said, they were the most engaged people I've ever talked to before.
They're definitely not stupid because they would be passing some high level, like, and a wide variety of IQ tests to get where they are. You don't get to.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You don't get to those positions without like, you know, certain standards for IQ. Like even so, the military, right? If you join the military, you take the Canadian Forces Aptitude Test, right? The CFAT. It's an IQ test. They don't call it an IQ test because they're legally not allowed to call it an IQ test because that would be hate, right? But it's an IQ test. If you've done an IQ test and you've done the CFAT, you know that the CFAT is an IQ test. It is. And the reason they do that is because they have certain standards, right? You need to reach these. If you don't get these scores in these categories, you're not qualified, or you don't have the basic necessities that you need to do this trade in the military. And intelligence in the military has one of the highest standards. So I would imagine that CSIS standards are like a notch up from that. And like, you know, they're not stupid people. Like, don't assume that they are. They might be drones. They might be NPC types that just, you know, well, like you can be smart and like an automaton, right? So like,
right. Not it's putting puzzles together, but I mean that's kind of their job, right? But again, like I said, I have nothing bad to say about them, to be honest. Like I walked away feeling like it was a net positive, like it was a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, the other thing is too, like I'm sure that unlike say the RCMP, I'm sure that CSIS is actually some very high quality people, because there's the IQ aspect of it too, but there's also the character evaluation, right? The previous history, like they're probably model citizens, I would assume, anyways. Like in all levels,
probably good credit scores. Like
you have to pass. You have to go through multiple lie detector tests where you have to answer like, have you used drugs? Like, what drugs have you used? How many times? Like, and you have to pass these multiple times. So it's like they're not degenerates. They're not like, you know what I mean? They get asked about if they have scandals in their past and like all these things. So it's like they have to be like pretty upstanding people to get to that level where they qualify to even, you know, enter training.
So I guess, you know, in a character assessment of theirs, so they've probably never done drugs, never tried hallucinogenics
I would assume not.
Right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Especially
that's where I'm trying them in my teenage years and fucking up my brain. You know what I mean? Like that's a different life experience, right? Like
if they've been in for a while too, especially. So like if they've like you said they're about your age, so like if let's say they've been in for at least 10 years, right? They could have been in law enforcement before or whatever. But let's say that they've been with CSIS for 10 years. Well, they wouldn't have been able to ever have, well, not ever, but they would have had to you know, disclose if they've ever done marijuana, right? Before that. And that would have been a thing that would detract from their, you know, whether or not they were qualified, because it was illegal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And now that it is legal, it would still probably be a question, right? Because
you have to assume that when they entered, the standards were much higher even than they, like, not that they're not high now, I'm sure they are, but like it would have been probably even higher, right? So
they would be the type that would try and analyze somebody that does drugs as opposed to just trying it themselves.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like there's different types of people out there that experience things and like watch things and like, yeah, I don't know, just trying to get a beat on their personality types. You know what I mean? Or what type of personality type it would take to be that person.
Yeah. So when it's funny too, because it's not necessarily to say that if they've ever done drugs at all once in their lifetime, they're out. They can't be. But I think it's like, because I looked into this at one point. At one point, I was looking at getting into like becoming an intelligence officer in the military, and then I was looking at CSIS because it's something that just interested me, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized
when you grow up believing in the system and everything else, yeah, seems like an interesting job. You know,
so like I looked at it and it's like, well, you can have done marijuana, but you can't have done it in the last 2 years or whatever it is, right? And it's like, and you have to.
There you go. Rumble chat cleaned up. So yeah, Rachel's been having a bad week. But let's just compare scenes from Montreal last night to what Rachel was so fucking upset about. Adid Dublain says Karima is brown, not a big fan. Should I be? I'm not. I mean, she does good work. To say that she does bad work is kind of disingenuous just because she's brown. That being said, I'd deport her in a second. Back to Pakistan or wherever. I'm sure she is a nice person. She can be a nice person. I mean, I've met her. She is a nice person. She can be a nice person in Pakistan. I think that's where she's from. I'm sure she can take her law degree and become a lawyer in Pakistan, right? Right? She'll be a respected member of the community in Pakistan. She can be a reporter and stuff in Pakistan, right? Anyways.
I'm troubled by the reaction to what I see as a very simple first step. No one was required to publish their statement of principles. It's meant to be, again, an internal act of self-reflection. And in a world where most Canadians cannot afford lawyers, and the price of law school tuition is beyond reach for the average Canadian, and we're facing other crises of access to justice. For this to be the issue that people rally around, I simply do not understand.
Canadian Girl Rumble says, I give Indians the finger daily. Problem solved. That's it. I'll go hang up my second son's jacket and just it's over. Canadian girls giving Indians the finger daily. It's done, guys. Battle's over. We already won. No, I'm joking. It is funny and fun to do that, but yeah. You know, hey, what people don't understand though is that actually that is part of it. That's how you cultivate a fighting spirit. It's how you show that these people are not welcome. Like, yeah, these are little things that people have to do individually, which is not treat these people like they are us. Okay, hang on. I got to go off. Remote pain. I'm sure if Jeremy was worried about live stream commenters, he wouldn't stream anymore. Bitching about what people say in the chat seems weak to me. Why? Like, it's not people that are saying the truth. It's not people that are making insightful comments. It's not people that are saying intelligent things. It's fucking morons who come in here and say, like, you know, seditious or like, you know, basically illegal things that could get you in shit, like you know, like actual hate speech.
I'm just going to go off here for a second. When we take back this country, it's going to be no apologies. And when we're done taking back our own countries, I'm coming back to fucking India to finish the job the British should have done 200 fucking years ago. That's my fucking life's mission, is to, nobody belongs anywhere. I guess you don't belong here. And this time it's not going to be, we're bringing you trains and we're bringing you technology. No, it's going to be, we're bringing you fucking brimstone and hellfire to scourge you from this fucking planet. That's what I'm going to do whenever we take back our country. That's where I'm at now with you fucking Indians. You don't deserve to exist on this fucking planet.
Because here's what they do. They take that and then they use it in these court cases to say, like, you see, like, this is a radicalization thing. They're basically, this is the kind of rhetoric that they're espousing. This is the kind of people that they're attracting. And then they use it against you. Yeah, I know I have zero control over that. That's exactly why I'm fucking saying it, you moron. You have control over that. You guys do. So you get control over yourselves and stop doing that shit, for fuck's sakes. You have control over it.
I think it should be said, too, that if you guys are buying our shit and wearing our shit and you commit a crime,
that's another one.
There's no way to get kicked out of this community faster. If you are out representing our brand by out there committing crimes while wearing it, well then, I'm sorry, there's no way faster to get kicked out of this fucking community. We don't want you representing us if you're committing crimes.
Tony, make sure you clip this one so you can watch me laugh at Indians getting run over by fucking trains. Woo! That was a pull start. Oof. We need to make trains trains are our greatest ally in the war against Bajeets, honestly. I don't think we have, like, who else? The Pakistanis? I don't really want to ally with them, but trains I can get with. What about tigers? Are they on our side? How many? 126. Okay, not bad.
About one every 3 days. About once every 3 days, a tiger kills an Indian. They're on our team. Let's go.
Fuck the Jews. Fuck you. Fuck your Holocaust. Fuck your banks. Fuck your stupid fucking bullshit ethno-state shitbag magic book country. I wish the fucking Palestinians just overrun and wipe out your entire civilization. I wish Hezbollah would just rain down ungodly fucking hate on you until there's nothing left of you. I wish that would happen. I sincerely wish that. I am so fucking sick.
Exactly. What do you guys feel about, obviously the mixed race kids thing is an issue for a lot of people, but I mean in the sense that, like, say somebody 10 years ago has had, I don't know, say they had kids with somebody, like a Brazilian woman or something, or somebody from fucking, I don't know, Libya or whatever. I'm just throwing random examples. 10 years later, they go through this process and realize what the world really is and what's actually going on. How do you navigate that with someone like that? Like, what are they supposed to do? Execute their own children, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. So I'm just curious if anybody has had experience with this or has dealt with this before or knows how to handle that.
Good. Good for you, PP.
If Morgan was there, would you be saying that if Morgan was there?
No, she'd be like, she is hot. We should both fuck her. And I'd be like, we should. Let's rape her. Like, we have these conversations. We target people we may power rape in the future. Oh, dude. No. We'll just be like, it's not really a sex thing. It's like, we just want to show people that we can do things to you if we want to. It's a power move.
Them more than us. You've chosen them over your own people. So that's why, the rope, you're a traitor. You deserve the same fate as anyone. We're supposed to be grown-ups. Confirm things and look into things.
These guys have the makings of folk heroes, whether it's Sewell and Davis and Hersant and, their crews, or Thomas Russo and Patriot Front. I don't think the state realizes that that's what they're doing, that they are creating this rebel caste. In choosing these people to be your target, you have ensured that they are the ones who will be given the power to beat you. You are giving them the power to beat you by persecuting them like this. The more they oppress them, the more they come down hard on them, the more the people will love them. The more other men will join them out of sheer admiration. What the state is doing is romanticizing their struggle. That's one thing that's missing from this fight more than anything. But I think that's what a lot of people are craving. They want a romantic struggle. Romanticism was removed. It kind of went to the wayside, and people downplayed the importance of it, and everything became very pragmatic. And the idea that you were going to have some sort of triumph of the will, some sort of passionate uprising that would be like, that kind of thing went away, and it became bureaucratic and mechanical, where you had to, go through the system and you had to check all the right boxes and you had to advance up the ladder. And then what ends up happening is you become part of the machine in doing that. There's a resurgence of this. There's a desire for this. People want romantics. They don't want pragmatists anymore. They want heroes.
that I was a Jewish Fed informant cop that has AIDS, goes after little boys and natives, and gives them AIDS.
Yeah, so like I said, calling to give you just the courtesy of a heads up that you will receive a letter kind of early next week letting you know that the bank decided to end their banking relationship with you. The bank determined that this relationship is outside of its risk appetite. So typically we don't call customers in these situations, but I recognize you've been a long time client of the bank, so wanted to call to give you the courtesy of a heads up.
Okay, so I'm just here at Scotiabank and inquiring with my Scotia Intel on Jeremy MacKenzie's case. So you were saying again?
That he was very abusive to staff in the branch, which was why, after a few warnings, we had to close his accounts.
But there you have it. Okay, so
some text going back and forth. So the first text here I will read out. Me at the top in blue. I say incompetence maybe. It's not greedy theft by this woman. Telling us we didn't do shit okay. Can we have our 50K back? I don't know if he gave 50K. Here's his next line. I'm going to back this truck over the rest of them to save Lysak. I'm out of patience and they can suck my dick. I said, I didn't know she said that about you. Was it before or after you accused her of theft? He said, it's not just her, there's a whole crew of them, and that they never shut the fuck up. I said, well, don't take it out on the boys. They're 100% on their own. I want nothing to do with them. I'm going to try to help Lysak. The rest can eat me. Granny doesn't go to her own fundraisers or show up in court, but does go to trips to Scotland, while these guys don't even have a competent lawyer. Competent lawyers. They're being completely fucked over by incompetent women at best, if they aren't flat out stealing, which seems to be the case, with tens of thousands of dollars. I answered, haha, she's legit. She's been fighting every day for these guys. Her trip is from her pocket. She's retired. The man's in prison. He can't do anything. These clowns, this is Jeremy again, these clowns are supposed to be taking care of this. That was the whole point. Nobody got the blueprint, I says, on how to fight tyranny, and not many have your smarts. All of our people are going to just focus on him from now on. The rest are on their own with their cackling coven of spinster drunks. Step one, get a good lawyer. 19 months later, still no lawyer. So I want to point out something that he's saying right here. All of our people are going to just focus.
These are fucking losers. Like, it's a loser country full of weak, soft, pathetic people. Just, sorry, that's what it is, man. That's prove me wrong. You know,
I can't.
Where's the lie, right?
Yeah, I can't.
Because that is what it is. He's right. They're just it's a hobby. We're gonna go scream at empty buildings, and a lot of these people, they don't fit anywhere else. That's why they're there. Like the free dumb people. Yeah, that's why they're there, because they have nowhere else to go. They don't have any jobs, they don't have any families, they don't have any social circles. And they're losers that found kind of a niche where this was a place that took everybody, because at the time, when this kind of came down on everybody, it was like the more the merrier, the numbers, right? And it's just kind of attracted all these vagrants and politically homeless people who don't really believe it. They're just a train. A lot of them are drug addicts and alcoholics, and they just want to party and fuck around. And that's a lot of it. That's most of it. And that cast, that was why I had a hard time being embraced by a lot of the wider public, because they go out and see what these people are about, and it's a bunch of people shirtless, smoking cigarettes, half in the bag, hammered, screaming about the world economic, like stuff that they don't understand. They just look crazy and insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're some dad that works at a software company, and okay, well, here's a guy who's half shit-faced in the bag who looks like an extra from Sons of Anarchy, and he's screaming at me about how Bill Gates is putting microchips in vaccines. I'm going to walk away pretty quickly from that. And that's, and that's what's left now. Everybody else has kind of gone on with their lives. I'm still doing what I was doing before, and other people are, and there's this collection of lost people with nothing to do who are just still, stuck in this weird kind of endless cycle of protesting nothing. They don't even really know what they're angry about her. And what do they want? They don't know. Freedom,
trying to
whatever that
change.
means. Let me do whatever I want all the time for free is what it means, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
I just like, hey guys, I just go live anytime I have an interaction with the police. I have Constable Mugford here. Hey. Good, how are you?
Yeah, I think that's all it is. So that there shows February 1st.
Okay.
Gail, somebody. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything else beyond that.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's in Pictou now. He's still on house arrest there?
He's still on curfew.
Oh, curfew,
yeah, like 10 p.m. curfew.
I'm
yeah.
gonna. You say he had his lawyer's number?
Yep. Okay.
Does it start at 6, is it? It's curfew, or is it?
At 10 p.m. 10? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe I'll just get him just to pop over, and if not, I'll contact the lawyer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm shocked that they were able to, go through with that one, just where he's never met that woman, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
We have lots of crazy people come after us, so this is not abnormal.
Yeah, you said you have another one on the same day?
So it's the same woman. I filed a peace bond against her, and then she turned around and filed peace bonds against both of us, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I know.
All right.
The drama. Okay.
Good times, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry to waste your time. All right. Yeah, so essentially I filed a peace bond against someone who sent me a threatening text message. They do have a history of violence as well, so I just wanted to protect myself, and it's the first peace bond I've ever filed, actually. So she actually there's another officer just sitting here watching, so I find that interesting. I'm probably gonna keep it going. He's probably watching this right now. Oh yeah, now he's taking off. So she has turned around and filed against Jeremy and I as well. I don't believe Jeremy's ever spoken to her or spoken about her publicly, so that's interesting. But anyway, just anytime I have an interaction with the police, I'll turn this around. I always go live just in case anything sketchy goes down. The camera is your best witness. Okay, I'm going back to work now. Bye.